Welcome to Sky High Coaching Conversations. I'm Janelle Ryan, global personal coach and author of Become Extraordinary, joining you from the coastline of Australia. This podcast is raw and unedited, just like life. I work with high-performing professionals, entrepreneurs, and elite athletes who are ready to expand their minds into new ways of thinking, create what once felt impossible, and lead themselves and others with confidence. If you're a self-led human who loves growth, truth, intuition, and a lot of laughs, you're in the right place. I'm so happy you're here. Let's dive in. G'day, welcome back or welcome to Sky High Coaching Conversations. I'm Janelle Ryan. I'm so happy you decided to join me today. As always, I invite you to listen along, note down whatever comes up for you, and then you can decide later on what you may wish to do with those insights. Today, I want to talk about something that sounds really exciting from the outside, but can feel a little bit more complex from the inside, being promoted from within. And I don't mean the shiny LinkedIn announcement version of it. I mean the very human, slightly awkward, deeply developmental version of it. The version where one day you're sitting beside people as a peer, and not long after that, you're the person they're looking to for decisions, direction, feedback, and standards. The version where everyone is trying to work out who they are now, including you. Now, being promoted from within is a really exciting time. You earned the promotion. You worked hard for this. You put your hand up. You took on more responsibility. You cared deeply about the work. You proved yourself in the rooms you were invited into and quietly hoped, or maybe not so quietly, that one day the people above you would see what you were capable of. And then, finally, they did. Happy days. You got the promotion. And at first, there is the absolute thrill of it. The text to your partner and best friend, the celebratory dinner, buying the new outfit that makes you feel like you're stepping into a slightly more elevated version of yourself. There's absolute pride, maybe a little bit of relief, excitement, and perhaps a little private moment of, I knew I could do this. And then something else arrives. You realize you're no longer just part of the team. You, my friend, are leading it. The people you used to debrief with are now waiting to see how you hold the room. The conversations shift. The energy shifts. The easy familiarity suddenly feels more complicated. And this is where many capable, intelligent professionals begin to feel the weight of the role. Not because they're not ready for it, not because they don't deserve it, but because the hardest part of being promoted from within is rarely the work itself. You know you can do the work. It's the change in relationship. You're no longer simply proving you can do the job. You're learning how to hold authority with people who remember you before the title changed. And that, my beautiful friend, is a bigger shift than most people expect. I know, I've been there. We often think a promotion means we've arrived, when very often a promotion means we've reached the next edge of our growth. Now, here's the thing. You may have been exceptional as an individual contributor. You may have been the person who got things done, solved problems, smoothed tensions, supported everyone, and quietly held more than anyone realized. But leadership asks something different of you. It asks you to be warm without seeking approval, clear without becoming cold, open without becoming overly available, caring without making everyone's comfort your compass. And when you've been promoted from within, this can feel especially complex because you're not walking into a room of strangers. You're walking into a room of existing dynamics, loyalties, assumptions, memories, and unspoken expectations. Now, some people will be genuinely happy for you. Some may feel disappointed it wasn't them. Some may test the edges of your authority. And some may expect you to stay exactly as you were, only now you've got the power to make things easier for them. They're pretty excited. And this can create a really strange internal struggle. You may want to prove you haven't changed. You may want them to know you're still approachable, still kind, you're still you. Of course you do. But here's the thing, you have changed, not in your values, not in your humanity, not in your capacity to care. But your role has changed, your responsibility has changed. What the organisation and the team needs from you has changed. And the more quickly you can accept that, the more cleanly you can lead. The great news is the transition from peer to leader isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more anchored in yourself. You don't need to perform leadership. Please don't slide in on Monday morning, put your laptop down, swivel slowly in your chair and announce, "From now on, you may call me boss." Please don't do that. You don't need a new voice, a new personality, or a sudden addiction to corporate jargon. You don't need to become distant or formal or painfully polished. You do, however, need to understand your presence now carries more weight. Your words land differently. Your silence lands differently. Your hesitation lands differently. Your frustration lands differently, and your approval lands differently. And this can be one of the first quiet shocks of leadership. You may still feel like you, but other people no longer experience you in exactly the same way. A casual comment can become a direction. A passing frustration can make people nervous. A delayed response can be interpreted as disapproval. A private friendship can be seen as favouritism. A vague expectation can create confusion. This doesn't mean you have to become paranoid or self-conscious. It simply means your intention now needs to be matched by your awareness of your impact. That's leadership. So one of the most helpful things you can do early is name the transition. Not dramatically, not with a grand speech that makes everyone uncomfortable, but with enough honesty to acknowledge that something has changed. Gather your team. Speak clearly. Let them know you're excited to step into the role and that you also understand there'll be an adjustment for everyone, including you. And you don't need to pretend to have every answer. In fact, you'll build more trust if you don't. You might say something as simple as, "I know this is a shift. I've been part of this team and now I'm stepping into leading it. I care about the work. I care about this team. I also know my role is different now and I want to be thoughtful about how we move through that." That kind of honesty doesn't weaken your authority. It strengthens it. People don't need you to pretend nothing has changed. They need you to feel that you can see what's changed and lead them through it. And this is also where listening becomes important. When you first step into leadership, there can be this temptation to prove yourself by acting really quickly. We see it all the time. You want to show the promotion was deserved. You want to make an impact. You want to solve the problems you've probably been watching from the sidelines for years. But speed isn't always the same as leadership. Before you start changing anything, I encourage you to listen. Ask your team what's working. Ask what's getting in the way. Ask where they need more clarity. Ask what they wish leadership understood. Ask what would help them do their best work. Then listen without defending, overpromising, or rushing to fix everything on the spot. And this matters even more if you were previously part of the team, because they may assume you already know. And you probably do know some of it, but now you're sitting from a different seat, and your job isn't simply to gather opinions. Your job is to understand the landscape you're now responsible for leading. I was in a role once and someone was promoted actually from externally, the external environment. But when she came in, she did this. She spoke to us all as a group, and then she took us out all individually for a coffee and asked us those questions. And it just helped. We just respected her so much. And she had our, I want to say, buy-in, for want of a better word, from day one. We were with her from day one because she listened to us. And there's a difference between being collaborative and being overly available to everyone's preferences. A new leader who's desperate to be liked will often ask for feedback and then accidentally turn every comment into a commitment. They say yes too quickly. They soften every boundary. They try to keep everyone happy. They avoid the conversation that might make someone uncomfortable. They give too much explanation around something because they fear they're going to be misunderstood. And at first, this can look like kindness, but over time, it becomes confusing. People don't know where the line is. Standards become blurry. Resentment can build. The leader becomes exhausted. And the very people they were trying to protect from discomfort start to lose trust. The need to be liked is one of the very first things leadership brings to the surface. I felt it myself, and I have seen it multiple times. I don't even know how many times with my clients. Of course, it's lovely to be liked. Of course, we want good relationships. Of course, warmth and respect matter in a team. But if being liked becomes the thing you organise yourself around, you'll struggle to lead. You'll delay decisions, avoid feedback. Say yes when the honest answer is no. Keep explaining long after the point's been made. Confuse emotional discomfort with doing something wrong, and slowly you teach your team that your boundaries are negotiable. And this is where so many new leaders need to hear the truth. You can be a good person and still disappoint people. You can be a caring leader and still hold a standard. You can be warm and still be clear. You can be respected without being available for everyone's approval. In fact, this is often where respect begins. Not in being harsh, not in becoming distant, not in copying the leadership style of someone who once made you feel small. Respect begins when your team can feel that you're confident enough to tell the truth, clear enough to make decisions, and human enough to listen. That, my beautiful friend, is a sweet spot. You can be approachable without giving everyone unlimited access to your time, energy, and attention. And when you've come from within the team, fairness, oh my gosh, also becomes essential. You may have closer relationships with some people than others. That's normal. that's natural. You've had lunch with one colleague more often. You've shared more personal conversations with another. You may have history, loyalty, and friendship in different places throughout the team and throughout the organisation. But once you step into leadership, you need to become very mindful of how those relationships are experienced by the rest of the team. Now, this doesn't mean you become fake. It doesn't mean you suddenly pretend you don't know people. You clearly know. It means you understand the perceived favoritism can damage trust very quickly. Be thoughtful about who gets your time, your praise, your flexibility, and your informal access. Be careful not to keep making decisions inside conversations with the people you feel most comfortable with. Notice who you ask for input. Notice who you overlook. And notice who might be quietly wondering whether the old friendships matter more than the new structure, because there will be people wondering that. Now, this isn't about walking on eggshells. It's about growing inside the role. Leadership asks us to widen our field of responsibility. Your role is no longer to stay closest to the people you naturally prefer. Your role is to lead the whole team. Now, that is going to sound really obvious, but living it can be confronting. Well, and the truth is, most of the time, leadership can feel lonely. There may be moments when the team goes for lunch without you. Moments when you walk into the room and the conversation changes. Whew, I've experienced all of this. Moments when you realise you're no longer included in everything you used to be included in. And that, my friend, can hurt. Something I learned from a mentor I had at the time was it can also be appropriate. Your team and I learned it was true, your team needs space to reform around the new dynamic. They need to work out who you are in this role. And they need to work out who they are in this new dynamic too. Now, try not to chase your old place in the group. That version of belonging is not available in the same way anymore. But a new form of belonging can emerge, one that's built on trust, clarity, and respect, rather than sameness or the past. And this is part of the identity shift of leadership. You stop needing to be inside every conversation and start becoming someone who can hold the bigger picture, the vision for the team. You stop measuring your safety by whether everyone seems happy with you and start measuring your leadership by whether the team is clearer, stronger, and more able to do good work. You stop trying to look confident and start building self-trust. And yes, guess what? You'll need to have the harder conversations. You'll need to give feedback to someone who used to be your peer. You may need to address underperformance in someone you like. You may need to say no to a request. You may need to hold a boundary with someone who's used to having more informal access to you. And these conversations aren't easy. They're part of the role. The aim isn't to become fearless. The aim is to become more skillful. Be clear, be kind, be specific. Say what needs to be said without wrapping it up in so much cushioning that the message gets lost. And remember, being direct doesn't mean being harsh. People can handle clear. They actually crave it. What they struggle with is vague, inconsistent, or emotionally tangled. A clear message, offered with care. I'll start again. A clear message offered with care is often more respectful than a long explanation that just leaves everyone unsure. So this is also where emotional intelligence becomes more than a nice leadership phrase. Emotional intelligence isn't being endlessly agreeable. It's not absorbing everyone's feelings. It's not staying calm because you've disconnected from what you actually think or what you're actually feeling. It's the capacity to notice what's happening inside you, understand what may be happening inside others, and choose your response with mindfulness and maturity. It's knowing when you're seeking approval. It's noticing when you're becoming defensive, catching the urge to over-explain, realizing that someone else's disappointment doesn't automatically mean that you made the wrong decision. It's being able to stay present in a conversation without collapsing into some kind of guilt or hardening into control. And that, my beautiful friend, doesn't happen overnight. It takes practice. Your promotion isn't the finish line. It's the beginning of a new level of development. You may have earned the role because of your performance, your intelligence, your work ethic, and your potential. But you'll grow into the role through your capacity to lead yourself while you lead others. That's the real work. Now, here's the thing. The meetings matter. The strategy matters. The system, the decisions, the outcomes, they all matter. But underneath all of that, leadership will keep asking you deeper questions. Can you trust yourself when someone's unhappy with you? Can you stay clear when you feel that pull to be liked? Can you let your relationships change without making it feel like you've failed somehow? Can you hold more authority without losing your warmth? Can you become visible in a new way without shrinking back into the version of you everyone already knows? This is where leadership becomes personal, not because you make everything about you, but because the way you lead is shaped by the way you relate to yourself. So if you've recently been promoted from within, take a breath. You don't have to get everything right in the first week. You don't have to become a different person. You don't have to choose between being respected and being human. You do need to honour the transition. Let the role change you in the right ways. Let it make you clearer. Let it make you braver. Let it teach you how to listen and actually hear. Care without rescuing. Lead without pretending. And hold authority in a way that still feels like you. Because becoming the boss of people who used to be your peers isn't just about learning the job. It's about learning how to hold the role without losing yourself in the process. And if you meet that consciously, it can become one of the most powerful leadership initiations of your career. This kind of leadership growth asks for more than a few good tips. It asks for self-trust. It asks for the ability to stay clear when you feel the pull to please, prove, soften, over-explain, or second-guess yourself. It asks you to learn how to back yourself in the moments where your visibility and authority feel very real. And if this has stirred something within you, I want to invite you into 2 possible next steps. The first is our complimentary blueprint, The Unshakable Woman. It's a practical guide I created for high-performing women who want to stop second-guessing themselves and move through important moments with more clarity, confidence, and self-trust. It's our gift to you, and you'll find it in the show notes. Well, you'll find the link. You won't find it. You'll find the link to it. Or if the last thing you want is another thing landing in your inbox and you'd rather place yourself in a room with powerful women doing this work in real time, the Soft Strength Salon is the room for that. Inside the salon, we work with the moments where visibility, authority, pressure, and self-trust meet. Not in theory, in real conversations, real time, real embodiment work, decisions and dynamics that ask you to hold more of yourself. Not so you can become someone else. So you can lead, speak, and live with more of yourself available. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Sky High Coaching Conversations. Until we meet again next time, continue creating, expanding, and leading. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you for being here for another Sky High Coaching Conversation. If today expanded something in you, trust it and allow it to lead you to your next step. Take what landed, leave what didn't, and keep creating the life and vocation that feels unmistakably yours. Until next time, keep expanding, keep creating, and keep leading with clarity, courage, and a little magic.